Hello everyone and welcome to Community Force webinar. My name is Mehreen Mirza and I will be facilitating this session today along with Christine. Firstly, sincere apologies for the delay in getting the webinar started. I was facing some issues with my system, so sincere apologies to everyone. Now during this webinar, I will also be answering the questions that we will have during the Q&A breaks. So please do not hesitate in asking any questions that you might have. I will either verbally answer your questions or I will be typing in the answers for your questions. So if you can't see the answers, I will be typing them in. Okay. We have with us Christine Smith, who will be our trainer for today and will walk us through all the key areas under this topic. And now, before we get started, I'd like to show you a few features that will help make the most of this webinar for all of you. Now, on the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see a panel with an orange arrow. You can use this arrow to expand or collapse this panel. You can ask questions by either typing them in the question area or click on send or enter. We will reply to your questions either by typing them in or during the Q&A break verbally. If we miss answering any of your questions during the Q&A break, I will make sure that you receive the answers in your inbox after the webinar. Also, a PDF copy of today's presentation is available in the handout section, as you can see here. Click on the handout title to download it. This handout contains individual help guides, knowledge-based articles for each of the topics that we are covering today. Now, for a smooth experience, everyone has been put on mute to minimize any background noise. Let's see. Okay, since we see most of you have joined, let's get started. The topic for today is managing the applicants as they apply. Okay, now I will hand over the session to Christine. All yours, Christine. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining.
And thank you so much, Maureen, for getting us started with today's session. So let's go ahead and get started. Of course, today, the webinar that we're going to be reviewing today is going to be monitoring your applicants during that application process. And so during that, you'll be able to see how far your applicants are in the application process, how if they've completed their applications, who's completed it. And then we'll also preview how to do staff sections, how to see if you have request sections, how to see the nominees so you know who the applicants are asking to complete those sections. And then also there are occasions when you need to be able to have the applicant recomplete a section. So we're going to go over how to release sections back to applicants once they've submitted the application. So this is after they've clicked that submit button. We'll talk about how to release something back if you want to gather more information. And so who's going to benefit from today's session? Of course, it's going to be any of you administrators who are responsible for monitoring your applicants while applicants are applying and reviewing the completed applications. So the topics we're going to be covering, we're going to first talk about the application graph, what that is and how that can be useful to you, as well as managing applicants. We'll talk about how to manage your applicants, how to see that manage applicant dashboard, how to see the report for the manage applicants, how to access attachments if you're requiring attachments be attached, completing staff sections, viewing request sections, the nominees, seeing who they nominated, where they are in the process, and then how to change status and status details, as well as getting your PDF of the applicant's application forms. And then we'll take a quick 5 to 10 minute break, and that's when Maureen will address any questions that came in during this first half of the session. And then after the break, we'll do the remaining topics in regards to how to release sections once they've submitted, a couple of report functionalities that we have, like the section status report, global manage applicants, the recommender report, and global search for applicants. We'll discuss those after we take that break. And then we'll end with a final break, a Q&A. That's where Maureen will address any final questions that come about. So to get started with our first topic, that first topic is going to be the application graph. So the application graph is a nice tool that we have that helps you see the big picture of the status and status details of your applicants. It'll help you see it in a bar view, a column, a donut, and a pie. And then, of course, you can click on that status and then see just the listing of applicants that fall under that status detail. So let's go to our site here so we can kind of show you how to access that. So I'm logged in as an administrator, and I am on the home screen here. And so here, when I scroll down, I can actually see my application form that I want to monitor. And if I come over here, I can see total applicants. So of course, when I click that total applicants, that's going to take me to the application graph. So that's one way, clicking on that number of applicants, and that will take you to the application graph. Or if I'm on the home screen and I select the actual application form name. So if I click the name, then it's going to take me to the Manage Applicants dashboard here. And I do need to click this expansion here to open up the menu. And then I can go to the application graph from this screen by clicking that application graph. So once you're in the application graph, then you can see the submitted, the request pending, the pending submission. So I'm displaying by status. And then if I want to go by status detail, I would just select status detail. Of course, I don't have any on my application right now, just that there's none that are assigned. So I can kind of see that as well. And then you can change it to different types of graph. You can do a column, you can do donut, you can do a pie shape. I switch to status here. You can kind of see that here. And then there's the donut. And then of course, to view just that specific, so maybe I wanted to just see my submitted. Who submitted? I can just click on that part of the graph. And then it'll take me to that Manage Applications screen and show me the submitted applicants. And then I can just click back to go to the graph. And then maybe I want to see maybe who's request pending, or who's still pending submission. I can click on those as well, and that will show me those details also. So that's the application graph. So that's just a nice overview of quick ways to kind of see what's going on. You have this nice little graph here that you can view and see as well to have quick access to things. So now we're going to talk about, now that we've talked about the graph, let's go into the Manage Applicants report. And this is where, when your applicants are applying, this is the key report where you're going to be looking and seeing what's going on with all of your applicants. This is where you're going to see who's applying, what their status is, and how far they are, how to get to their dashboard. This is the main screen that you're going to be working in as an administrator once your applicants start applying. This is where you see everything that you need to see in regards to those applicants. So to get to that dashboard, of course, I'm just going to go back home again. And from the home page, I'm going to select the application form name. And when I select that application form, it takes me directly to the Manage Applications. And of course, it's going to take me to the first item in that menu option, which is Manage Applicants, which is right here. And this is the Manage Applicants screen. That is where you can view everything. So you can see from the screen, you can do a lot of different things. You can see a lot of different things. You can see the applicant. You can see their email address, so you know who the applicant is. If you're using external ID, you're going to be able to see that. You'll be able to see when they submitted, the date and time that they submitted, what's the current status of those applicants, the status details. If you're using tuition due date, if you have that question type activated, you'll be able to see the due date for those applicants. And then if it's been released, we'll talk about that a little bit further. When you release a section back to them, you'll be able to see that from the screen. Any of notifications where you use the notify button or use the notifications, it'll give you the last date of that notification. So you know, okay, did I email them this message? I don't remember if I sent them an email. You'll be able to see that. And those are the ones that you've actually sent. And then any comments that you've received, and then the requested and then the received here will show here to the right. I'm going to go back out. I think I clicked on the wrong application here. Let me go back in. I want the 2025. And okay, so this is something that it's good that this is happening so you can kind of see. So since I filtered in the that graph, and then I came into the Manage Applicants, it's reading that graph still, and it's just showing me pending submission. So what I need to do is I want to make sure that this filter says all. And so now when I'm filtering, now I'm seeing all of my applicants, and I can see everybody, not just that pending submission. I'm now seeing all of my statuses. So that's something when you come in here, always make sure that you've got the filter set to all so that you're seeing all the applicants when you come into the screen. Now, also what's going to be nice, we'll talk about in a minute, you're able to see those request sections. We'll talk about here in a little bit more detail here in just a minute, but you can see that nice overview from the screen. You can see how many of those request sections have been requested and how many have been received. And then, of course, if you're requesting payment, if you have a fee associated with your application form, you'll be able to see if they've paid it and then what was the date of the payment. And then one more little item over here you do want to use caution is the delete button. You do want to have caution. That's why we've kind of pulled it all the way to the right, because once you delete an application, it's gone, and you that is deleting their entire application form, and the applicant won't have an application. So the only time you ever want to delete is if the application is not a valid application or the applicant has requested it be deleted, then you can delete it. If it's a test applicant, then you can go in and delete those. But use caution when deleting, because once you've deleted it, it is gone forever. Now, once you're in the screen, you also, if you want to view an applicant, you can search an applicant by searching their last name, clicking the search button, last name, first name, email. You can search on any of these fields and then click search to find a specific applicant if you're looking for them. So that's a nice feature to have. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. So that was just the search, but you do have the ability to, like if you have hundreds of applicants, you're looking for a specific one, you can come up here and search by any one of those 4 fields there to find that applicant. Now this is a my site. You're going to probably see a few more little buttons at the top. Don't be alarmed if you don't see them on yours. This is a demo site, so we do have all the functionality activated on my site. So these are functionalities that are either in the process in regards to new enhancements coming to the site or things that are additional add-ons. So just don't be alarmed if you see something that's not on yours. It's more than likely something because I have that test site that I'm working on. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about, now you see the report. So now how do you drill down on your applicants? Now, this is a scholarship site. And of course, all applicants coming into a scholarship site, you're going to be clicking on the applicant name in order to view the preview of the application form. However, I'm going to go over to a grant site. This is the only difference between the scholarship and grant site. In the grant site, instead of looking at individual names, you're going to be looking at it from the perspective of a organization. So when I click on the application form, you're going to see a little bit of difference, and that's just what I want to address here. You're going to see, instead of having this applicant name highlighted, over here you have the organization name. And so anything that is applicant on the scholarship side, it's going to be organization, and it's going to be what's highlighted here. But everything else is going to be the same. You do have a new function, a different functionality, which we will cover in another webinar for just our grant users of what that is. But to access the preview of the application and to look at the applicant dashboard, you're going to be clicking the organization name, but it's going to be the same icons here going forward, as well as the report. There's going to be the same items on here based on what you have activated. So let's go back to the scholarship site. And here on the scholarship site, we're going to talk about now how to view your applicant's application. So we looked at the Manage Applicant report. So from the Manage Applications, there's a couple different things you can see from that screen. So let's go back here. And if I want to see just a preview of the application, I can click this applicant name here. And then once I click the applicant name, it's going to compile the data. Bear with me here. I've got a lot of stuff running in the background of this database. So might have to close it out and go back in. I apologize for the delay here. Let me see if okay, let's try this again. Okay. So this is the application summary screen. And so that was clicking the applicant name, or of course, if you're a grant user, it would be clicking the organization name. And then this is you can print this little preview. And if I scroll down, what I can do is I can collapse and expand the different sections. So each one of these is a section in your application form. So this is the personal information section. This is the academic information section. This is the financial information section. So you can see here, all of this is that data that you're seeing here. Okay, so each one of those is a separate section. And then you can expand and collapse the ones that you don't wish to see. And then of course, if you want to print it, if you have anything collapsed or expanded, then it will only show you in the printout what you have expanded. So anytime you want to print and you want everything, always make sure to hit the expand all so that you are seeing everything that's there. And you can then print the entire thing. Otherwise, if you don't want to see everything, then you can collapse certain sections and then only see those. So that's the application summary. And then the next thing that you can do to view the applicant information is over here on this edit. This will take you directly to their dashboard. And then once you open up their dashboard, you'll be able to see everything that they've completed. And you're looking at this from the administrative side. So if you're looking at their dashboard and you see a staff section, you see the scholarship agreement form, you see the thank you letter forms, you're seeing everything that has been activated on your admin side. So when I say activated, if I go back here to Manage Applicants and I go to the application settings and I look at all of these active sections, I'm seeing everything active, even if it hasn't been given to the applicant to complete, because I'm the admin, I'm seeing it from the back end. And so anything that's been activated, even like the scholarship agreement form, the thank you letter form, even though it hasn't been given to the applicant yet because they're not at the status they need to be to receive that, I'm still seeing it because I have this little check mark here. So if you don't want to see those, you can always come here and remove it. And then when you're ready to see them, you can go ahead and select them. So if anytime you remove, you do want to hit save to save that removal, and then select it again when you're ready for the applicants to complete that. and then hit save also. But I'm going to go ahead and leave mine active. But I just wanted to explain that to you so that when you're coming in, you're like, well, why am I seeing the scholarship agreement form? They haven't completed it yet. What's happening? That's because you're the admin. So you're going to see every section that's been created for that applicant that has been activated on the site. And then also sometimes you might even see some of this that's completed because you might have questions in these additional sections that are looking at questions that they've answered in their application form, especially some of your grant users. You might be maybe wanting to capture information in regards to data on how a program's going to function. And then, of course, you're wanting to know results in your quarterly reports. You're seeing these quarterly reports and it's linking questions and how they answered the original question so that you can view those. You're going to see some of this completed because those questions have actually been answered. So like you can see here in my staff section, I haven't as a staff member gone in and completed anything, but it shows it 50% complete because it's actually looking at questions that they answered in the application form and linking those and just their view only questions in the specific section. Okay, so that's how you get to the dashboard. Now, one thing I do want to, if you click in on a section, so you can view a section by clicking the section and you can see how the applicant answered it. But know that this is a live application and anything I do as an admin, if I go in and make any adjustments, if I accidentally change something, I'm changing their actual application form. So that's a caution when you're viewing the dashboard and you're in these sections. Be very cautious if you're not wanting to change anything. Maybe you're making an adjustment for the applicant, I don't know. But if you don't, always, instead of hitting save, always hit return to dashboard so that you don't accidentally save something that you didn't mean to. So because a lot of times as you're looking through here, especially if they're drop down questions, you might be looking at it and accidentally scrolling through and accidentally selecting something, and then you've changed their answer, and that could affect them being matched, to specific awarding. So you don't want to be using a lot of caution when you're in here. So I'm going to hit return to dashboard, and then once you return to the dashboard, then of course you can choose another section and move forward. But before we go any further, I do want to address one more little button here. This is the preview application. So when we were on the Manage Applicants screen, remember we selected the name or the organization name and it gave us a preview. Well, here on the dashboard, we also have this preview application right here. And then once you get there, it's the same thing. You can collapse, expand, or print, but that's another way to get to that specific document. I'm going to just click back here. I'm back on their dashboard. And now we're going to talk a little bit about the attachments. How do you get to the attachments? I see my applicant, they attached some items, they've uploaded documents. How do I see those uploaded documents? Well, those uploaded documents are going to be located. There's, again, two different locations. I'm here on the dashboard right now, but you're going to see right here that preview application. So if I go back to that application summary, so whether I've selected it from the dashboard or I've selected it from the Manage Application screen by clicking their name or their organization name, once I'm in this screen here, this is how I can see what they've attached. So I can actually, if I know what question I want to look at, I can see the attachment here. Or I can scroll all the way to the end of that document, and it's going to give me all the attachments for the entire application form. It's going to show me when they uploaded it, what question it was uploaded to, and what's the title of the document that they uploaded. I can then just click on that document. It'll open it on my desktop using the program that is the extension here, and then I can view that document and save it if I'd like. So that's how you would get those documents, is opening up the preview, and then in the preview you can get that from that specific screen. So that's how you get all the attachments if you need them. The other thing I want to address, since we're here on this screen, is if you have staff sections. So those staff sections are sections that you've created for your internal staff to complete. They are only seen by the administrators of the site. You have to be an administrator and have that access to Manage Applicants to be able to see the dashboard. And if you can see the dashboard and you're an administrator, you can see staff sections. So these are the sections that, as staff members, you want to create a section where you can address questions that your staff members need to answer while the applicant's applying in regards to your awarding, when you're paying out your award money, things like that are specific questions that go in staff sections. Or maybe you want to create a section where, as part of the award, you as a staff member, different awards might have different information. You can go in and put those questions in a staff section. Then the staff member can select them, and then you can link it so that the applicant can see that in your award functionality is another way. So staff sections are very helpful in getting information to a specific applicant. You can create those items as questions in a staff section. The staff member can activate them, link them to a linked question in another section that the applicant can see that'll give them additional information pertaining to them individually. So that is a staff section. And so here I am on their dashboard, and this is how you would get to it. You would have to go to the dashboard, and then here is that staff section. I just click on the staff section as a staff member. And then once I click on that section, it's going to give me the questions I need to complete. And then as you saw that there are some questions that are being pre-populated based on questions that were answered in the application form by the applicant. And so those are going to be populated already for me, so I don't have to do so as part of the process. If I've got those linked from in my staff section, I wanted to see how an applicant answered a question without having to go back, I can link it here in the staff section, and it'll be a view only then. And then I can create add my information I need to add, and then I can hit save and return to save my changes. I don't want to right now though, so I'm just going to hit return to dashboard. So that's your staff section and how you access that. Okay, so I'm going to go back out to the Manage Applicant screen. And you can see, again, that's why we say this is the main screen that you monitor everything, because you can see we're pretty much doing everything while the applicant's applying. Any data we need to know about that applicant during the application process is here in the Manage Applications, Manage Applicant screen. So the next thing is request sections. So you may say, okay, how do I see the request sections that my applicants have completed? Who are they asking to complete them? And who has them completed, who doesn't have them completed? So there's a nice in the report here. If I scroll over here to the right, I have two columns, a requested and received. Now, these request sections, don't get them confused with collaboration or proxy. These are those actual request sections that are created where the applicant doesn't see the section at all. They have a section that they see where they have to, which will show you that screen that they see. They request an individual to complete it, and all they can see is who they requested to do it and if the person's completed that section or not. So these are individual sections, request sections that are invisible, that are hidden from the applicant's view. They can't see these. Only the person they invite to complete the section can see that specific section. So like for scholarships, that's going to be a section for letters of recommendation, or if you need a specific signature, if you're a grant user and you need an executive director's signature, you can create these request sections where that individual is the only one that sees it, can go in and complete it once the applicant invites them to do so. The applicant has to provide the name and email address of the person they recommend to complete those sections. So here I have those two columns. The requested column is I have so many request sections created, and in this specific application form I have two actually. So I can see, okay, he's 100%, this applicant here is 100% requested, and the individual they request to complete it has 100% completion. If I go down here, I can see this applicant has requested the individuals, but they have not completed it. There's no value here yet. If I scroll on down, This one here, they've asked one person to complete, and that one person has completed it. So I can see the nice overview of what's happening. This one here, I can drill down. So maybe I see, okay, I see she's asked all of her individuals to complete it, but they haven't. So who is it? All I have to do is click on either one of those. I can click here or here. It's going to take me to the same one. Click on that section here. And as soon as I click on it, even though I have a slow site, I apologize, but okay, so now as soon as I click on it, here I can see, here's my letter of recommendations. I can see who they requested. I can see they sent it to Christine, the date that they requested Christine to complete it, but she hasn't done it yet. So from this screen on the back end as an administrator, you're going to see one, you can see who the applicant asked to do this. If you wanted to capture that email, you could send an email outside of the system to Christine and say, hey, I see that this applicant has asked you to complete this form. However, you haven't done so. Can you please go in so that they can have their application finalized if you wish to do that? That's what this allows you to do. Also, this as an admin, you see an access code. Don't give this to the applicant because this is a special code given to this individual in an email. This code allows them to log in if they can't. So when they get the email, it has a link to a URL. If they have security on their system that doesn't allow them to click on links within an email, then they can do one of two things. They can enter the URL on their browser, they can cut and paste it. And then once they get to the site, they have down here in the lower, on the login screen, in the lower right-hand corner is a nominator login. If they enter that code that is on the screen, they have direct access to the section. So that's why you don't want to give it to your applicant, because you don't want the applicant getting that code, going to that section and completing it themselves. You don't want that to happen. So don't give this code out to your applicants. Only if an recommender has contacted you, do you want to give that code. Another thing, you see there's a resend here. If you click this resend, it's not going to say the applicant's name. It's going to have you, whoever's logged in. So right now I'm Community Force Support. It's going to say Community Force Support is requesting you complete a recommendation on their behalf. So that could get confusing to the recommender. So the applicant has this button on their side. So you might want to contact the applicant and say, hey, you need to resend this to your recommender. They're saying they didn't get it. Or if you're talking to the recommender, then you can tell them, I'm going to send this to you right now. Note that it's coming from me, but it's actually for this applicant. Click on it, go in, and you'll see the applicant on the top of the screen once you get there, so you know that it is exactly for them. Okay, so that's what the applicant sees. And then this is what you see as an admin. Now, if I go back out to Manage Applicants, and I just got kicked out, let's go back in. And if I was to click on the applicant edit, I can go to the dashboard. And while in that dashboard, I also can click this request section here, and I can see that exact screen from there. So you can see while you're in the dashboard, you also can see that from the dashboard, that request section. Now, as an admin, I can actually see these two sections, and I can click on the section. Maybe I want to see how far the recommender's gotten. Maybe they've started it, but they haven't clicked submit. So I can kind of go in and I can see have they completed that section. So that's something nice as an admin. You have the ability to see that the applicant doesn't. And then I can hit return to dashboard and say, hey, Christine, I see you've done this. However, you've only completed 25%. You've missed these questions. That's why it's not showing completed on your side and why the applicant's not seeing it completed. So you can actually see those two recommendation sections, or you can see who they've recommended. So that is the request sections and how to monitor that. So now let's go back to the Manage Applicant screen and talk about those status and status details. So statuses are what allow you to see what status an applicant is in. So when I go back to the site, I'll explain what those are. And then status details are ones that you predefine. It's based off of your processes. So of course, when somebody's submitted, maybe between submitted and under committee review, you want to create your own status details so you can track your applicants and be able to filter based on those trackings. That's what status details are for. You create the status details. Status are system created statuses. So let's go to the site here. Go back to the Manage Applicant screen. So here we are in the Manage Applicants screen. And this is status. So these are the ones that the system generates based on a specific event that happens in our system. Our system will automatically move applicants to a specific status. Status details are the ones that you create and you have to manually move them. So let's go up here. So when I say move them, so you do have the ability. So let's say I have an applicant like this one here. They're pending submission. I see they've received 100%. If I click on her application, hopefully it doesn't take too long here. I apologize. Like I said, I am on a test site. So there's, okay. And I see, okay, she's completed everything. Why hasn't she submitted? And it's past the deadline. She can't submit. I can't reach out to her. I'm going to be nice and just go ahead and submit it for her. I do have the ability to do that. I have the ability to move applicants to whatever status I would like for them to be at. So how do you do that? Well, right up here where it says filter, this little filter up here, when I select it, I can filter by statuses, or I can change the status. I can filter by status detail, or I can change the status detail. So this is something you would always be doing manually, the status detail. So this is how you would do that. I want to go over some of these statuses just so you understand what they mean and what's the event that causes them to be changed to that specific status. So of course, all this is just the filter. So it's just saying filter all statuses. Pending submission means an applicant has clicked the apply button and has started the application process, but has not finished it. Submitted means they've actually completed all their sections. They've clicked the submit button and it's been submitted. Additional info requested works along with releasing sections, which we'll talk about here in a minute. This lets you know that that section's been released and you're waiting for additional information from them. Withdrawn, the applicant has to physically go in and withdraw their application. If you want to withdraw somebody's application, you can manually move them by using the change status, which I'll show you here in a minute. But that's what that means. It means the applicant went in and withdrew their application form and no longer want it to be part of the application process. Under committee review is an automatic status that the system will move your applicants to the first time you assign them to a review committee member in the evaluation process. So as soon as you assign them the first time, even if you have multiple review steps, the first one puts them under committee review automatically. Not selected for an award, that is a manual field. There's no trigger in our system that puts them to not selected for an award. You would have to manually put them to the not selected for an award. However, selected for an award, when you're awarding applicants in our system in the award process and you give them a final award figure and you click save and submit on that final awards figure, they're going to go to award accepted. or selected for an award, I'm sorry. Then, as part of the process, if you have acceptance sections and you want the applicant to go in and complete those accepted sections, they have a button. It says award and decline award. Um, if they click the accepted button, their status will automatically go to award accepted. If they click the award declined button, their status is going to automatically go to award declined. Now there's one more status here, and you're going to see I actually have one applicant, this Alicia, that's below me here, this one down here. It says request pending. So what is request pending? So request pending means the applicant, which I have activated on my site, and this is a default activation. You can turn it off if you wish to not have this, but I have defaulted that as soon as an applicant completes all sections in their application form, and they have 100% requested their request sections, they can submit their application. Once they submit their application, it's submitted, but we're still waiting on request sections. So this is where, okay, Alicia submitted her application. We're still waiting on some of her recommendees, the nominated individuals, to complete their sections. None of them have done it. As soon as the recommenders complete it, and then the recommenders complete their sections and submit their sections, she'll go automatically to the submitted status. So this tells me she's done. She's just waiting on her requestees. Once the requestees are done, she'll automatically go to the submitted status. So that's where you can turn that off though, where they can't do a request pending. It has to be 100% complete, all sections, request sections, everything before they can submit as an applicant. But I don't have that. I have Alicia being able to submit even though her request sections aren't completed. And then these other two here, since we're in the filtering aspect, this is where you can filter applicants based on submitted and request pending. So you can see those together. And then you can see the submitted and under committee review. You can see those together as well as a filter. So how do we change statuses? Well, it's very simple. Like I said, maybe I want to go ahead and submit this application for this individual here. I can select, and you can do multiple at a time if you wish. I can select, I can come up here to change status, and then I can click submitted, and then I click the change status button. And just so you know, it's the same process for status details. You just change it to the status detail, maybe submitted. Maybe I want to put her in a status as soon as I submit her. I can do that. I can do both of them. But right now I'm just going to do the change status. I'm going to put her to submitted. So as soon as I hit this button, what's going to happen is the next thing that happens is I get a comment box. And this is where I can put a comment in here. And what's nice is in this comment, you can actually click this show to applicant, and she'll be able to see that on her dashboard as well. She can see comments that if you select this box, those comments will be visible to the applicant. If I don't want her to see it, then I wouldn't select that box, but I might just go ahead and enter a comment anyway for me to see, because I'm going to see that over here in the comments. The last comment I made will be over here. And then I can enter that. I don't want her to see it, so I just hit save. And then once I hit save, it's going to then show, you can see right here, here's that comment. And then of course now it's showing her submitted, and it shows her status as submitted. So that's how it also, like if once you've done your awarding, maybe the ones that didn't get awards, you want to go in and put them all to not selected for an award, you would just select all of them, hit your change status, and then move them to selected for award. And that's how the process would work. Okay. So that's status and status details. Now, one more item before we go to our break here is on the screen as well, is getting a PDF of your applicant's application form. So what a PDF does is it allows you to get the entire application form along with all the attachments in one PDF document. So to get those, if I can select multiple, or I can just select one. I can come over here to this PDF button here in Manage Applicants. so here, let me just, so getting the PDF and going back out, you select the name, hit the PDF, and there's a couple different PDFs. So I have an applicant PDF, a reviewer PDF, and so I may say, okay, and an admin PDF. What are the difference between those three? Well, the applicant PDF will only show sections that the applicant's able to see. So the staff section wouldn't be part of that PDF. That would be something that the applicant is getting. You're giving it to the applicant. You don't want them to have that staff section. You would do the applicant PDF. The reviewer PDF has only questions and sections that are visible to reviewers. So if you've hidden questions from your reviewers, those will not be on the reviewer PDF. And then of course the admin PDF, that's going to give you the PDF of everything that the administrator has access to. So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly do one. I'm going to do the applicant PDF. I'm going to select it. And then once I select it, it's going to download that. And then I have to open it up. So you can see here it downloaded it. I can just select it. And then once I select it, there's that PDF there. And then of course, if they don't have any documents attached, they won't be attached. But if there are documents, they will be present in that PDF document. And then we also have the ability to get a batch PDF. So batch PDFs allow you to get a batch of multiple applicants. It's going to create a folder that you can extract, and you can see all of them at one time in a folder. So it's going to create a folder. If you selected 5 applicants, it's going to create that folder on your dashboard, and then you'll be able to click on it and see all 5 of them. So how does that work? Let me quickly do that for you here. So I want to do a batch. Let's just select the first 3 here. So depending on who you select is who it's going to create it for. I can come here, and if you do a select all here, it's per page. Just so you know, it's not selecting all of your applicants, it's selecting just that page. So a lot of times I like to change this to all so that I'm getting everyone if I'm doing something like that, but know that it will take a long time, but it is per page. So I'm going to select those individuals. I don't want to select all of them though, because it's going to take forever if I try to do that, and we don't want to take any more of your time than we need to. I'm going to select it. I'm going to hit PDF, and then here's the batch. You can do a reviewer. So if you're giving a batch of applications to your reviewers, you don't want them to have all the questions that are hidden to the reviewers, so you can choose that one. Or the admin PDF, you can choose that one. So let's do the admin. And then again, what it's going to do, it's going to download all 3 of those, but instead of creating separate PDFs like it did the first time, it's going to create a whole entire folder. There it goes. And now see here, there's the folder. It's a zipped folder. I can click on it. And then when I click on it, it's going to take me to my documents section of my computer here. And then there's the folder. I can click that folder. And then there are the documents and the PDFs for all 3 of those individuals. So that's a quick way if you want to quickly create a batch of PDFs for several applicants at a time, you can do so using that batch PDF functionality. So I'm going to stop right there and see what other questions we have that Maureen can address. It's all yours, Maureen.
Thank you, Christine. I'm just going to address a few while I've addressed the rest while typed them in. So one of the questions is, can I add more columns? Just like I see the tuition due date and external ID, can I add more such columns in the Manage Application screen? Well, here's the thing. The tuition due date is one of the fields present in the application settings. So if you're going to use that field, then definitely it'll show up on the screen. As per the external ID, that is something to do with the setup. That was a custom setup for the client, so that's why it appears as such. But if you wish to add more or something else, that would be a customization. You can get in touch with us, and we'll talk to you in detail and understand your requirements and get that done. But yes, you cannot do it in a normal environment. There would be some customization required. Then there is a question that says, applicant is unable to submit the application even though all the sections are 100% complete. Well, you could look through the application. But one thing that you have to look out for is the request section. Just check if the request section is 100% completed or not. That could be something that might be holding them off. If you still have any issues, please open a ticket with us on Zendesk. One of our client support specialists will get back to you. They might need to look at a few other things at the back end. Okay. Okay. Mm, okay, I see on the applicant dashboard as an administrator, on the applicant dashboard, on the signature field, I see my name populate. My name is being suggested to add under the signature field, whereas it should be the applicant's name. Well, that is just how the setup is done. By default, the system is going to take the first and last name of the logged in user. Now, in this case, you are the administrator, you are logged in, you are on the applicant dashboard in the section where the signature field is present. So it will definitely recommend you to enter your first and last name. But on the applicant dashboard, it will surely be showing the applicant's first and last name. So do not have to worry about it. Just make sure that you do not enter your name and try to sign it. Okay, leave, because when you are in the applicant dashboard, that is something that might cause a little bit of a data issue there. So don't do that. Just leave the section and go back to the dashboard. Okay. It says, can I assign an applicant to a committee even if they have a request pending? Request pending completely depends, Debbie, whether you want to move these applicants to the next phase. So under the evaluations tab, you'll have to look, or maybe you would like to change the applicant status to something else. Then you can move them forward into the next phase of evaluations. So that totally depends whether you want your applicants to complete the sections or the request sections or not. So that is important. You can definitely select the request pending applicants and move them forward, but that's completely up to you. Your process allows you to do that. Definitely you could do that. Okay. I'll type that in as well, Debbie. Okay. That's it, Christine. I'll back to over to you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thank you, Marie. Okay, so now let's move along here and talk about how to release sections. So let's say the applicant submitted. So of course, once they submit it, there's a lock after submit set on their application form. You're looking through their application, realize there's a document that they uploaded the wrong document, or they contact you and say, hey, I submitted, but I forgot I needed to change something in a section. I didn't mean to submit it. Can you release it back to me? So yes, you can do that. So how do you do that? And this is, of course, once they've submitted. So of course, if they haven't submitted, they can go in and make the adjustments themselves. But once they've submitted, so like this instance here, I have this individual who needs to complete a section, or I wanted them to redo something, then I can release those. There's two different places. Of course, here you can do it by clicking the no, but there's also on this drop down, I'm in the Manage Applications. If I select this, there's a section release. And if you click that section release, I like this screen because this will show me a nice big picture of who's been released and who hasn't. So right now, nobody's released. Everybody at the top is not released. But let's say I do need to release a section back to this applicant. I can come over here where it says no, and I can see their application. I can see all the sections they have, and then I can determine which sections I wish to release. Now you do want to use caution on request sections. You can see here I can release these request sections. However, if you release a request section, it's going to clear the data that has been completed on that section, and the applicant has to re-invite the individual to complete that section. So that's something you see them here, but I don't recommend releasing those unless they're asking somebody to redo the whole entire form. So that's one of the issues. Once it's released, in order for them to get it to the recommender, then they do have to re-recommend the individual to complete it. So let's say here personal information. I just want to release that section. You'll see as soon as I select it, a deadline date, I can give them a date to have it completed by. Maybe I only want to give them a couple days. So I can come here, I can change the date. And then here, if I click send, it's going to say that's the date that the email is being sent. Now there's a special email that goes out with this. It's in the notification centers, and it's additional information requested template. And there's certain fields in that template you do not want to remove because those fields are tied to this process, the specific process. So in that email template, there's a field called comments. Don't remove that because the comments box here is where you maybe want to give them additional information as to why you're releasing it, what the actual question you need them to recomplete, what you're needing from them. That's what this comment field is. You remove that field from the email template, they won't get the comments. Same with the section date and deadline, the section name and deadline. You remove those from the template, they won't get that information either. So I'm just going to populate this here so you can see. I'm saying personal information, the deadline date. I would normally give them a comment. And then here I can actually preview that template that I'm talking about. So here's that template, and it's saying, the name of the application, what's the section, and how long do they have to complete it by. And then right here, additional information, that's that comment field, and it's putting that data in there. And then of course the template has additional information. All this other text is directly from that template. So I can close the preview, and then I can save it, or I can save an email. More than likely you want them to get the email. So you hit save an email, it'll send an email to that individual, and that email will give them the instructions they need because you've put that in the comments. And then what it's going to do is then once you release it to them, it's going to put them down at the bottom of the page. So this is all of them that have been released, the date you released it, and then you're going to see here it says released yes, and then any comments that you've provided for them. Now when you're ready to undo it, they do have to submit the application again. Once they click the submit button, it will automatically put them back to released no. And then I'm going to go to the Manage Applicant screen so you can see the more. But this yes here, if you want to undo it, maybe the deadline's passed, you can go in and undo that. But I'm going to do that from the Manage Applicant screen, but it's the same process as you are here. So I'm going to jump to the Manage Applicants so you can kind of see how this looks from that screen. And so now you can see his status is additional info requested, and he has a yes here as well. So same process. If I click this, yes, maybe I want to undo this. It's past the deadline. I want to undo it. I can just come here. If you notice, I clicked that, it disappeared. I can hit save. And then now you'll see he's back to the status he was at the time I asked for the information. So that's how you would undo it if you need to. But of course, if they get it, that's one thing you want to put in your instructions on that email, because if they click the submit button again, it'll automatically move them to the submitted status as well. You don't have to manually do that if they complete it themselves. But if it's past the deadline, you don't want them to complete it anymore, you do have to manually go in on that yes, and then unselect what you've released and then hit save so that it releases it from them and they no longer have the opportunity to complete it. So that's releasing a section. Now we have a couple of other things here. The first one is a section status report. The section status report will show you, there are some important things to note. It does, if you have a lot of applicants, it will take a long time to run this report. I'm going to try to run it and see how quickly I can get it to run. But know that it does take a long time. So if you have lots of applicants, sometimes we say we'll start this before you leave and let it run overnight while you're going. Or if you're going to take a break, set it to run, and then by the time you get back, it should be there. So how do you get to the section status report? Well, right here, I'm still in this dashboard. I'm going to go to Manage Reports. Under Manage Reports, you're going to see a section status report. Once you select that, it's going to start running. And when I did this yesterday, it didn't take too long, but we shall see because my site is running a little slower today. So, because I would like for you to see what it looks like. Okay, so there's the section status report. Now there is not drill down, there's no drill down in this, but you can see what their status is. how far they've gotten on each section, what they still have to complete. So I can see here, okay, they've completed all their sections. They're submitted, of course. Submitted, request pending, looking for the letters of recommendation. This pending submission, they haven't completed hardly anything. This is only 5% complete. This is 15% complete. So this is a nice overview of where everyone is in the application process. So you can see how close they are to finishing without having to physically go in on every single applicant, clicking on their dashboard and seeing where they are. You can see here from the section status report a nice overview of where everyone is and how close they are to getting done. The next report I want to discuss is the Global Manage Applicants. So the Global Manage Applicants is the same as the Manage Applicant screen we were just on. So this is the Manage Applicant screen. But of course, this one, I'm only looking at this one application form. So under Global Reports, maybe I have 10 applications live at a time, and I don't want to go home, click the application, go to Manage Applicants, look at it, go out, go home, click another application. I can actually go to Global Reports, and there's a Global Manage Applicants. Under Global Reports, and I can say, give me a specific academic year. Or maybe I can skip that and say, okay, I want to look at my 2024 application, and then I want to look at my 2023 application. You know, you can go through. So maybe let me filter down so I don't have so many showing here. Select okay. And now I can say, okay, now just give me a specific application for a specific period. Okay, and then that allows you to just see those applicants, and then you can change applications and go from application to application to see the information that you want to see without having to go in and out. So now let's go back home. And let me log out here. Something just happened. Okay, so that's the global reports. And that's the global manage applicants. Now, also on this screen is a nice report that I did see a question somebody had in regards to the recommender. So the recommender report is a report that lets you see all of the recommenders on one report for all of your applicants during a specific academic year. So if I go back here under Global Reports, this recommender report history, if I select it, it's going to give me the applicants, and then I might want to filter by an academic year. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Maybe I want those 2 years. Give me all my active applications. Now this does show you all the applications that are active for that specific academic year. So I've got a couple of different applications. I can see the application. I can see the applicant. I can see who they recommended. I can see the email of the individual they recommended to complete that request section, whether it's been received or not, the date the applicant requested it, the date it was received, the due date, all of the information I need in order to know who's recommended, who's requested, who's got them completed. I don't have to, again, to look at every application one by one. I have this nice global report that lets me see that entire history. And then of course I can export this to Excel. If I wanted to export it to Excel, then I could run filters, and then I can say, give me everyone. You know, I can filter everyone who's requested but hasn't been received. I want to send them a quick email. I can do that from my Excel spreadsheet outside of the system and send them an email outside of the system, the recommender, that is. Or even the applicants. If I wanted to send a quick email to those applicants, I could do that also. So that's the recommender report. And then the final one is when you have applicants contact you, you've got 10 applications live. The applicant says, hey, I need some assistance with my application. You don't know where is this applicant's application. You can come up here using the global search for applicants. That up here is located right here, and it's going to be on any page that you're in. So if I'm on the home page, I'm going to have a search applicants. This is a global search. I can type in the name of the applicant if I wanted to, if I want to just put in a last name. And then it's going to give me every application that they've applied to, the academic year that they've applied. And then I can click here. Maybe I want to click this one. And then I can see every application again that they've applied to, and then make the determination of which one they're talking about. And then I can view that application by going through and viewing it through this specific screen. So that's using this global search functionality up here. Allows you to search for all the applications that an applicant has applied to. So that's it for the items today. So I will stop there and let Maureen answer any final questions, and then we'll close the session. It's all yours, Maureen.
Thank you, Christine. Okay. There's a question now that is related to the section release functionality. What happens if I release a section back to the applicant with a due date, but the applicant has not completed it yet? Well, you'll have to re-release those sections back again because the section due date has passed. Okay. Just a second. There are some questions coming in, I believe. Let me go back. If we use the same basic application each year, can we select multiple years under global reports to compare applicant data from year to year? Yes, Debbie. So Christine, it's about the global reports. Do you want to show more about the global reports from year to year for a comparison between the applicants and the academic year or fiscal year? You are allowed to do that, Debbie.
So if she's saying in the global manage applicants, can you see side-by-side application forms? No, it only allows you to view one application at a time in this. So you can select it and then you can view just that application, but you can't select multiple. There's only an ability to select one single application at a time.
I think we're talking about the global ad hoc reports, Christine.
Okay, well, that'll be covered in another session then.
Okay, all right, Debbie.
Yeah,
yes, but you can do that, Debbie. Yeah, Debbie,
but
that
yeah,
can be
there's
done.
other reports that will be covering other items here. So
okay, great. And then there's a question that says, "Is there a way?" Sorry, Christine. You were saying
no, that's
something.
okay.
Okay. Is there a way to release sections to multiple applicants at once? No, Cheryl, you have to release the app one by one because we still give that window to the administrator to release some of the sections to some applicants because we might not necessarily need to release all of the sections to all of the applicants. It is applicant by applicant basis. So that is why we allow one applicant to be, the section release to be done per applicant. Okay, not a problem, Debbie. Then there's just one more question. I'm going to just answer that question and we'll end the call. I am unable to change the applicant status from additional info requested upon section release. It goes on into the additional info requested, and then you're not able to move it back to submitted status. It will not work that way. Either the applicant has to resubmit the application, or you will have to unrelease the sections. That is, remove the activated sections, just uncheck those, and then save the changes. Otherwise, the applicant status stays in the additional info requested. Okay. I think I've covered all of the questions. Debbie, as Christine has mentioned, we'll talk about reporting in another session, but looking forward to seeing you all in the future. All yours, Christine. Thank you, everyone.
And thank you, Maureen. And then Debbie, one thing I would maybe recommend, because I am looking through some of your questions, is go ahead and enter on Zendesk a request to speak with a client success specialist and kind of go over your processes, and they can go into more detail some of the items you're requesting. That way, unfortunately, we don't want to take everybody's time today in explaining those. We will have a training session on some of those other report functionalities. But I don't want you to have to wait too long, so always feel free to do that, enter a request in Zendesk. And the same for everyone else. Of course, the handout. If you were able to get that, I think Maureen maybe has uploaded it now. Maureen, is that correct or no?
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay,
For
you have it.
anyone who
Okay,
could not see that,
okay,
the GoToWebinar was crashing on me, so it's uploaded now. You can please
it's
go ahead and
uploaded.
download it. Yes.
Okay, perfect. So feel free to go ahead and get that so you get the links to some of the items that go into more detail on the items that we couldn't cover today. And then again, for all of you, if there's anything you want more information on, feel free to enter a support ticket. And in that support ticket, just request a meeting with a client success specialist or support specialist in regards to some processes that you have, and that you want a more in-depth discussion on how some of this functionality will work for you, or some more questions you might have as well. And then of course, this is the URL to get to the Zendesk client support portal so that you can make those requests as needed. So again, I want to thank everyone for attending today's session, and we look forward to meeting with you again for our next topic. So please be watching your emails for that next topic, and the next one will be in March. And so we look forward to seeing you all, and we hope you all have a nice remaining month of February, and enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.